This is the politics of everything, and I'm your host, Amber Daines. Welcome to the podcast where we want to discuss the politics of everything, from money to motherhood, nutrition to narcissism, startups to secularism, the environment to equality, and much more. Our guests are experts in their field or topic of choice, even if you've not yet heard their name. This is a bipartisan podcast, so while we love exploring varied views and get a buzz from a healthy debate, by no means is this a one-sided forum for any one political view. So please listen up and enjoy the politics of everything. Today I'm speaking with Diem Fuggersberger, CEO and co-founder of Berger Ingredients and the creator of Coco Lucas Kitchen brand, providing ready-made meals that cater for kids with allergies, which is a big issue in Australian society and beyond. Her self-made success story from refugee without any possessions to a business powerhouse is pure inspiration, showcasing what Australia can do so well as a truly multicultural nation. I'm so excited to have Diem here to unravel the politics of kids' food. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So starting very much at the beginning, for people who don't know you, you fled Vietnam as a child refugee and ended up in Indonesia before coming to Australia. Tell us a little bit about what your early childhood was like.
My most beautiful childhood I could remember is spending a lot of time with my grandmother. My grandmother raised me from when I was born to about 7.5. So during that time, my grandmother, she's Chinese. She's taught me a lot, and everything she's taught me has carried me through life. So when I left Vietnam, I really, really missed her. So our journey was to travel. My mum has organized it with the boat owner, that our family and extended family, with another 504 refugees, to go on a 25-meter boat, and the boat was 0010, and we forecast to travel from Vietnam to the nearest Indonesian island, which is Galang. So we get there within 3 days, and on the boat there was just enough snacks and water, but there wasn't proper meals or food, or you don't get a bedroom, and there was probably a couple of toilets for us to share. So during the 3 days we were intercepted by pirates, and we of course they took all our belongings and gold. But what was for me horrifying is when they tried to nearly rape my 2 cousins, but I think they ran out of time, so luckily they gave my cousins back, and they threatened to nearly throw one man overboard because he had gold teeth. So we say, please don't do it. We'll give you whatever you want. And then after that, there was a huge big storm. And we just thought, that the boat's going to capsize and we're going to all we're all going to die. So in a situation like that, you just pray and pray and pray. So that's what I remember most of my childhood. And then the next step is coming to Australia as a refugee.
That's an incredible early start to life. I believe you didn't even know your real birthday for many years. And how did that get discovered?
For a long time, I didn't really celebrate my birthday because I didn't know what's the real birthday, but Mum couldn't remember it. So the reason I didn't know my birthday is when we were in the refugee islands, we had our visas, and I don't know why Dad changed everyone's birthday. Like, he even changed his age, and for mine he changed the 2 dates, so he changed it to 18th of April, and my real birthday is 14th of August, 1971. And I only found this is when Dad passed away in 14th of January 2011. And then after when my dad passed away, on the 14th of August, which is my real birthday, Mum went through all his belongings and she found my birth certificate. So even to this day, my birthday is still wrong on all my passport and license. So I need to get my actual birth certificate verified in Vietnam and signed before birth and marriages and death in Australia can change it for me. And I hope I can do that beginning of 2018.
Totally fascinating. I guess you get to get 2 birthday cakes. There's some benefits to it. What role did home cooking and food play for your family as you were growing up? How important was food?
Well, my mum is a butcher. And Mum has always been very selective, and she's very take pride. Like we're always surrounded by food. So mum has always cooked for us. So it doesn't matter how busy my mum is. She had nannies to look after us. But my mum always cook for us, and she will always cook us 3 meals a day. So when we were at dinner, that's where we share our stories. So, activities with food, we always have cousins come over, and that would be because I have 250 relatives in Australia. So if we had a party, it will be about food all day. So it's always food activities. And I learn about food is because from seeing how my mother cooked. And my mum was always very, very selective about seasonal produce. So whether it's her meat, her fish, her spices, or her seafood, I'm always surrounded by food. So food for me is joy. It makes me happy and it brings my family together.
Perfect. I think many cultures feel the same about food. Meeting your husband sounds like it was a life-changing moment for you. Did he introduce you to the world of food ingredient production? And how did you really get involved in the business you're in now?
Well, meeting my husband really, broadened my perspective, because I have always grown up to just live in the one area. I've never really traveled. So Werner has really opened the whole world to me. And I find that, German cuisine is quite basic, and they eat a lot of small foods. Whereas the difference between my cuisine and the European cuisine is we eat a lot of fresh. So we eat a lot of whole foods, and we don't really believe in processed food or tin can food. So I've always been brought up to eat made everything from scratch, fresh, and you buy your produce in the morning and you cook in the evening. And I think I have really professionally got into food is when we lost our everything in 2009, where we lost the $27 million and we were homeless. And that's why I go, Werner, you've got a very special, unique talent. You've got a good reputation. My family and I have a can-do attitude. And I think we sort of join force together to make food and make it happen. So that's what I think has happened. We have different skill set, and I look at it as yin and yang, and that's how we incorporate ourselves to work together. And I just think, okay, if it's just Werner and I, we can't really do much. But if we have a whole tribe of my family, we can really move mountains.
And move mountains you have. Yeah. So you started your first business in 2010, and you were producing seasoning and flavour concepts for various types of meat and fish products. And your clientele does span from butcher shops to food manufacturing companies and to leading Australian supermarkets. It sounds epic. And you have 4 Indigenous flavoured sausages called Outback Spirit that were exclusively for Coles at the time. And you decided to donate a portion of that to the Coles Indigenous Food Fund. So there's a bit of philanthropic effort in there as well. How did that journey, what did it really teach you about food manufacturing in Australia? Are we all about convenience and quality? What do Australians really want in their food?
Australians are very savvy. I think we're very lucky that we are very multicultural, and but Australians are also have high expectations. But at the same time, how I've noticed there's 2 brackets. There's actually the brackets where you supply to all 99% of the population, and they're very price sensitive. So when I'm working on a project, besides having the innovation and being a disruptor and wanting, our forte is gourmet, artisan, clean labeling, no e-numbers, but I've always in the back of my mind price sensitive. And and then there's the other brackets where you have all the high-end stores like lifestyle stores. So that probably makes up 5 to 10% of the population, and that's where they're willing to pay a bit more for homegrown produce. So I'm a big believer in just working with 95% of country of origin, because I want to support the local farmers and growers. And getting back to the Outback Spirit is I don't know what, but I always have a very, very sincere, genuine towards the landowner, which is the Aborigines. And I just think Australia is a very, very good country. It has given my 250 relatives visas in Australia, and we are able to have a second life in Australia to start again. So I feel it's my compelling responsibility to give back. So when I did I used the Outback Spirit ingredients. The ingredients are very strong, and it's very expensive. So if you're comparing, for example, a normal pepper is about $30 a kilo, but if you're using a pepperberry of the Aboriginal spice, it's about $99 a kilo.
That's hugely different.
Yeah. So, but for me, I wanted to use that because I wanted the Aboriginal, who's growing the special ingredients like lemon myrtle to, we need to appreciate the land that we live in. And their spices are very special, and I'm still since 2011 still donating to the Aboriginal food funds, and it still goes on. So if we counted it back, we probably donated at least $60,000 to the Aboriginal food funds, and we still continue doing that with Farm Foods in Geelong in collaboration with Coles. So so I like to actually contribute or donate from my own pocket. That's more my style.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Jumping into the topic of today, which is about kids' food. Your kids' frozen meals is more of a foodie range for kids, and I love the name of it as well. And you've named it after your nephew and your daughter, so it's very, very special, I imagine, to you. It is Australia's first junior food range that's gluten and lactose free, and it's obviously available in major supermarkets and other outlets for, like you say, the 95% of the population. Tell us a little about the path to creating this part of your food empire. How did you get involved?
How did I get involved? After working with my husband for 5 years and, setting up Berger successfully and making it a very robust business, and because I'm not able to work in fashion, I wanted to always make something beautiful because I love being surrounded by things that are beautiful. So I go, what can I do? Because, when I had Sophia and Coco, I never bought food because when I read the ingredients decoration, I was never comfortable to feed my kids. So I think what started it is more when Lucas was born. He had all these allergies, and being, Vietnamese, we didn't even know what gluten, lactose, lupin, and when he was diagnosed with all these allergies, like he couldn't eat anything. It has to be lactose-free, gluten-free, he can't have lupin, he can't eat seafood, he can't eat eggs, he can't eat seed, he can't eat nuts. And, and he can't even drink, like we've been brought up to drink a normal formula like S26, and he can't even take that. So we were very worried when he was given soya milk. And he lost a lot of weight, and my niece Jessica had a very, very hard time with that. So I can imagine there's at least 2 to 4% of Australians that has that same problem. And as soon as I go to a store, a high-end store, and people selling food that is gluten-free or lactose-free, the price is very high.
Absolutely. It's a market for sure.
Yeah. And then when I see people go handmade, people are expected to pay astronomical prices. But a mum who's got kids with these allergies, they might not be high income earners. So I just go, why should they miss out? So I really spent 9 months just focusing on the allergies, like all my heart and my effort. I even funded myself without getting paid to make sure that I get it to perfection. So just for an example, a gluten-free flour. So I've only found one, and it was a lucky flour, but when I look at the back of the ingredients decoration, there was a lot of E numbers, and I didn't want to use that, so my husband developed a flour for me. So, it took me a long time to get it to perfection just because it's gluten-free or lactose-free. I wanted to taste amazing, and I did a lot of tests. I did up to 600 samples to get it to perfection. And I had even 2 assistants helping me just in the process of developing the range. And the other one is my daughter, Coco. Coco always wanted me to cook for her. She's a bit of a perfectionist. And when she's very much on, the look of the meal, it has to be displayed nicely. It has to be cut nicely. And the portion has to be perfectly. So I just feel, when I look at the market, there's food created for 0 to 6 months, which is milk. And then there's food for kids between 6 months to 18 months. And there's food for kids between 2 years to 4 years. And there's foods for adults. But there's a gap between 3 to 13. And if a 3-year-old can't eat 350 grams. So I just go, I wanted to tick the 9 boxes, and I wasn't in the position to have a marketing person or I can buy scan data, and my husband kept on pushing me to buy scan data. And I said, Verna, I'm actually creating a brand that never existed, so there's no scan data. And I go, just because no one has created it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
You're a pioneer,
yeah,
Diem.
So I want to be, the champions for kids' wellness in Australia. So I wanted to tick a few boxes. So the first box was time poor for mums. I wanted to make sure that it was at least 90% country of origin, because I do care and respect the local farmers and growers. I look at demographic growth. There's a 12% growth in that category. I looked at eco-friendly, because 95% of my packaging is biodegradable. I looked at junior foodies movement, because kids these days, they don't want to just eat. They want to Instagram the food. They want to Facebook the food. They have their opinion. And I wanted the packaging to speak art, because kids these days don't want to be patronized to have Sesame Street on it. They want to be arty and cool. And I look at nutrition. So my food is 33% carb, 33% vegetables, and 33% protein. And I looked at, just the whole wellness of it. So I wanted
a very holistic approach.
And I wanted mum to trust me. Mum to trust me to pick up my meal and say, it looks like someone like grandma or auntie or mum cooked it. So that was my vision. And the other thing is my food contains no preservatives, no additives, and no colouring. And I know that I'm not a doctor to confirm it, but I'm actually leaning towards chronic disease for kids. Because when I look at, things like, autism, and my mum having diabetes, and all these chronic sickness, what it is you need to eat healthy and naturally and no processed food. And it's about respecting our environment. So that was my heart.
It's amazing. I can hear the passion when I chat to you about it. Yeah. You touched on food allergies, and obviously your nephew had a lot of them. Mm-hmm. They seem to be increasing in Australia, and of course you're not a doctor, so we don't expect you to give us a medical answer. But do you have any sort of insight into, how big an issue it is for families, and I guess what we can do maybe with what we eat, because we're told, so many conflicting things. Like I remember when I had my child, no peanuts for the first 9 months. Now in our culture of Jewish heritage, Israelis give their kids peanuts in snacks and things, and tahini and sesame seeds very early, because that's their diet. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, in Israel, there's hardly any nut allergy, like none at all. And I don't know whether there's any science in that and whether you've been exposed to any of the data, but what do you understand about the growth of food allergies in Australia and how we can deal with it?
I think back in 2010, there was only like 2%. Now it's increased to 4%. And these days, people eat a lot of gluten-free or lactose-free, or there's diets like paleo, which is caveman food. It's more like 25%, up to 25% that people are eating, restricting all those food just for lifestyle. So an incident also happened to my husband. My husband went to Vietnam 3 years ago, and after he landed, he was really, really, really sick, and he was hospitalized straight away. And they diagnosed him incorrectly, and they put a tube down his tummy, which made it worse. So when we came back, I met with a very special Nobel Prize doctor. He's Polish, Jewish, and his name is Dr. Berger. And he helped my husband. So it was, with food allergies.
And did you find out if it was an allergy at the end of the day?
It was gluten. So we straight away cut out gluten, lactose, and he was incorrectly diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And he was given steroids, and the steroids didn't react well with him. So when he took steroids, half of his body shut down. So it means that he was totally numb, and he at one stage hyperventilated in the street, and I had to call an ambulance. So I think in my husband's case, he went to see Dr. Berger, and Dr. Berger treated him by putting he gave him a treatment to help him. And even after the treatment, he has to wean off gluten-free and lactose-free, but that took over a year.
Oh, so now he can eat
gluten and lactose.
Interesting.
But it took a year to wean it off.
Yes.
But in Lucas' case, no. Because he's a
How old's Lucas now?
He's 5.
Okay.
And even yesterday when I spoke to his mum, his case is too severe.
So he may never grow out of it.
He never grow out of it. So I think with this, it's really very individually treated. So for example, I went out with Lucas, like he had, a gelato. And the gelato had a tiny bit of milk in it. That's enough to, like his throat will burn. He will get really sick. And then he will throw up, and then it will take him another 3 hours to settle down. So it is very tricky for mums whose kids that has allergies, because they have to spend hours and a lot of money to prepare the food in advance because they can't eat in restaurants.
Exactly. Going away on holidays must be a nightmare, or go to birthday parties where you don't really know what's in the food. Yeah.
So for example, I when I developed this, I haven't been paid for 2 years. I'm actually, because my vision is so strong and I don't have fear, even though, I'm not making any money I'm happy to not make money in the first 2 years because I want to have awareness, and I've already spent $3 million, but I just knew it wasn't for me. So it wasn't about the money or the dollar or the profits. It was the passion, and I was trying to solve a problem. And for me, that what matters at the end of the day. Yes.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you'll be very successful. Yeah. So what are your grand business plans for Coco and Lucas's Kitchen? Do you think you'll sell it one day? I mean, it's obviously early days. Do you have an exit strategy, or is it just too early to think about that?
I do have very big vision for Coco Lucas, because when I launched Coco Lucas, I love that word, wellness champion for kids in Australia. So I really want to be the queen of kids in Australia. Like, I want to make sure that my brand is an authentic brand. I'm building an authentic brand, a trusted brand, a respected brand. So that's why the 3 big things for me is the 3 C's. So my first C is my client, which is like Coles, Woolworth, Aldi, and the high-end stores. My second C is through social media. So that's through Twitter, through Instagram, through LinkedIn, through Facebook. So through those channels, I get feedback every single day to say, Yimi, your brand's good, you need to fix this. They give me feedback every day. I talk to them every day. I talk to I want to speak to 24 million Australian people that's giving me feedback every day. So I'm not actually passing that to an admin person. I personally manage that because I want to hear from the...
Not much sleep for you, Diem, by the sounds of it.
Yes. And then the third C is brand loyalty, the community. The community is... If the community is loyal to me, the brand is going to be alive. So the plans I have for Australia is I want to be very known. I know that there's 5,000 stores that I can be in. And then after that, I want to go global. But I haven't actually made any plans to go global. But for some reason through LinkedIn, I have been approached by, the biggest pharmaceutical company in Korea. And in the last 50 years, they've turned over 730 billion US. So I think for me, at the moment, I love Coco Lucas a lot. It's taken me 33 years to born this baby. I'm very in love with it. I want maybe one day Coco or Sophia will take over it. So I do want to keep the majority of the shareholding, but I'm a very open person. But it has to be, for me to sell part of my shares, it has to be the right partner. That person's got to have the same philosophy the reason why I started. So it has to be the right partner. I'm very open. I would never say no or never.
Never know. You never know what's next.
Yes.
And you have a great brand story and obviously a very positive personal profile. Giving back to the community is something we touched on earlier. So what does it mean to you to be able to, say, give back through, events like Refugee Week and other causes? Why is that so important to you? Well,
for me, I started by not knowing anything. As a little girl, I was lost. So I've only got here because I have great mentors in my life. So one of the, organisation I'm involved with is Global Sisters. I anonymously donate a lot to Agent Orange and the orphanage in my country, but I like to be anonymous and I donate for my own money. I don't really like asking people for money to raise money to donate. So for example, my latest project is Oz Harvest. So 2 years ago, I raised $2,500 for Ronnie. And, you know, the 12,500 that I raised, that I asked from friends, I eventually gave them all back, because when they have a charity, I need to return the money. I need to give them back. So I am working on a new exciting project for Oz Harvest about waste on war on food. So I wanted to say, I said to Ronnie, how about I donate money to you every day, every month and every year. So let's make turn 2 days old bread into a bread and butter pudding. And then we're gonna, because, you know, like for example, an organization like Oz Harvest, Ronnie, she's an amazing person, and I really wanna partner with her, and I wanted to help her every day, because when I come to see her, she's got all these food given to her, and she needs people to live with them.
That's right, it's a distribution piece.
So in 14 years, she's donated 65 million meals. So she's got 100 people on her payroll. So how does she fund all this? So I want to be the person who'll be part of the pioneer, because I will be giving her, I will develop the range with her chef Travis. I know how, you know, the retailers work. And I know about commercial finance, and I'll be the manufacturer and the producer. So I want to be on this journey very long with her, and something that's sustainable. So I want to constantly always give back.
Absolutely. Well, that's very powerful. Last couple of questions I always ask my guests. The first one is, do you have any special mentors or inspirational people? And I know there's probably many, but one or two that you can think of and talk about. What have they taught you about business and life?
Okay. One of my greatest mentors is my late grandfather, and I've never met him, but I asked a lot of questions about him, because when I went to Vietnam 3 years ago, I asked my uncle, how does grandpa has 2 wives and got 17 children to feed? And he said, you know, your grandpa has always owned a lot of land. And, you know, I've always learned from him, like we Chinese. So I think my grandpa always prided a lot on philosophy, honesty, loyalty, and reputation. Because my grandfather said that if your reputation is not strong or reputable, no one does business with you.
It's so true. It's so true. The people who last are the ones that have those values that you talk about.
So I think I've always incorporated that in my business, that I've always shown I will always respect people. So my grandfather has shown us to be respectful to people when we do business. And I'm actually quite traditional. So in traditional as in, like, if I have a guest coming from Korea, I'll pick them up from the airport. I take them out to dinners. If they stay here for 4 days, I'll take them to a different dinner every single night. I drive them around. So I'm very traditional and old-fashioned how I do business.
We should come to stay at your house for the sounds of it. Yes. That sounds amazing.
So I'll book their hotels for them. So I'm very hospitable, you know. And I think we as humans, we never stop learning. So that's what I learned from my grandfather, is to have a very, very solid reputation. And then Brian Harris is one of my mentors. And my mentors don't see me all the time. They probably see me once a month. And I always ask them a question each month. But he has taught me to run a debt-free business. So when you have a business that's debt-free, it's a very good business. You know, and he's very hard on me. So
keeps you accountable.
Yeah, so he keeps me accountable. And then I have another mentor, which is, you know, Warren McLean. And he is like a breathing encyclopedia. So he teaches me how to be own exclusivity, which is also very powerful. And you know, least but not last is my husband. I share everything with him. So I share everything with him, the good times, the bad times. We make all the decisions together. So he's really a mentor to me every single day.
Powerful. So two people from your family and 2 from beyond. So that's great tips for people. Mm-hmm. Finally, to wrap up, what are sort of the top 2 or 3 learnings that you'd love to share with the listeners about the politics of kids' food? What can we be doing today to help our kids eat better?
You know, I think one thing I sort of, although I know a lot about food, one thing I did mistake was I didn't actually give my food the foods that I don't eat, which is not right, because I think from the very beginning we should feed them everything that you cook for yourself. So to train them to
eat widely and broadly and variety
and be creative, and you know, just so you don't have the headache of cooking a separate meal for them. and a separate review. So from the very beginning, just let them have what you have. So it depends on the stages. So from the very beginning, I always make sure my kids have about 4 veggies, some meat and some carbs. So it depends on the stages. So when they're young, you puree it. When they're next stage, puree rough. And then eventually, let them have what you have. So they are trained from their palates to taste everything that you've eaten before. But I would always eliminate processed food and canned food. But I'm not one of those mums that say no lollies. I think it's good to be a bit relaxed.
So a good bit of balance in our lives.
Bit of balance, because otherwise I don't believe in just eating 100% healthy. It's all right to be a bit naughty one day a week.
We've got to live, don't we? Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you today on the Politics of Everything. If you want to connect further with Diem, there'll be some details on our show notes. You've been listening to the Politics of Everything. Until next time, stay well. Thanks for listening today. If you've enjoyed the Politics of Everything, we thrive on feedback. So please add a short review and share the podcast with your network and your friends and family. I'm also always on the hunt for fabulous new guests, so if you've got a view to share and an idea how to get our listeners excited, please email me at amber@bespokecoms, that's BESPOKECOMMS.com.au, and we'll be sure to get back to you. Until next time.